Tom Nunziato here from the Stark County ESC, and we're going to discuss value added using the Ohio SAAS EVAAS Dashboard. First, we're going to log in, and you're going to see that we are on a practice site, so the information that you see is just dummy information. But it'll look very similar to when you land on your district landing page. Now, depending on what access you have your district access, or if you come over to district schools, you could change it to a different district or a different school. Again, district and school, this dashboard is going to look very similar. So we're going to stick to just this screen for today. We're on the value added, and I'm going to scroll down. And the first thing you should notice that we have our years, the grade, and the subject. And then we have our effectiveness level. And years ago, we had 5 different colors, but we now only have 3, yellow, green, and blue. At the very bottom of the page, we have a key. And this legend will tell us what do these mean. So we have an expected growth, which represented by green, which means we have a growth index of -2 to +2. The dotted line represents 0. 0 is meeting expected growth. If we go have a growth index above 2, it becomes blue. If we have a growth index that is greater than a +3, we get this little ellipsis. The dot still represents here, but this ellipsis will then show you that your graph is higher than what you see. The same is true in the negative realm. -2 is our lowest expected growth. That still remains green, orange, and then if we go below a -3, we get our little ellipsis. We have a glossary, which will allow you to get some information about some of the terms that you find on this page. And then we have our effectiveness of light blue, green, and yellow with the description. If I'm looking at our effectiveness level, we could see right off that it's green with a check mark. Yellow is below, and down here we have a blue with our up caret. Now, to actually see the numbers, we would hover over each. So we have a growth index here of 0.81, which falls in the green. We have a -5.89, which is obviously less than -3. That's why we have the ellipsis. And the same over here for a blue, we have the ellipsis and our growth index is at a 3.12, which is above a +3. Now, if you do not want to hover, if you come over to the left side and hit the growth radio button, it'll expand out and show us our data. Here, our growth index is 0.81. It's here. We have an effect size of 0.14, which this comes into play when we discuss accountability. We have our growth measure and our standard error. Dividing our growth measure by the standard error will give us our growth index. And final, we have the column of how many students took this particular assessment. And you can see that all the way down. Now, we could add some more information by coming back over to the left and hitting the achievement button. And here, the achievement button gives us a little bit more information. We still have our student count. We still have the index, the effective size, measure, and error. But now we have our achievement where we have our entering and exiting. So 4th grade in 2022, the students in 4th grade entered 4th grade with an NCE average of a 31.6 and exited 4th grade with a 31.8. That puts them in the entering at the 19th percentile, meaning in the state of Ohio, this 31.6 fell in the 19th percentile of all students entering 4th grade ELA. Now, we have 4th through 8th grade math and ELA, which is the GAIN model, which uses NCEs. But if we scroll down to science 5.8 or end of course, you'll see the NCE switches over to a predictive score. So the 5th graders entered in 2022 with a predictive score of 679.6, which was the 15th percentile, and they exited with the 681.4 predictive score. And if you notice, they didn't hit that 700, but look at the growth index, it was 8.21. So our fifth grade value added is extremely high, even though our students did not average the proficient score of 700. If that's too much data, you just come back over and you can click the radio buttons to remove the data that you see. Here you have tested subjects, so you were able to filter out. And in this case, I'm going to filter out the math and the science so that I only have the ELA. So in my 4 through 8 OST test, I'm only seeing 4th grade ELA or 4th through 8th grade ELA. I could also remove, if I wanted to, all my end of course exams to be able to. I'm able to then add them back in. The difference between accountability and tested is you do have some students that may not be a part of your value-added data because of their accountability, meaning they have missing data, they weren't in your district long enough, or they weren't necessarily a part of your scoring. So this numbers may look slightly different, so we tend to just stick with the accountability. I'm able to use these buttons up here, arrows up here, to shift data around so I get different views. If I scroll down here, I could add additional years so that in this case, I could see 21 and 22 data. Again, come back up to the top of the screen. I could shift my data around. If I start playing around and adding and filtering and get to the point where you just want to start all over again, come back up to this little recycle button next to the value added, and it'll refresh your screen and begin right where you landed on your landing page. Hopefully this information is enough to give you a quick overview of the SAAS EVAAS Value-Added Dashboard and landing page. Thank you.